gamers, how's it going? It's ChaniZAEA here, and welcome to the first of many speed builds that we're going to be doing this year, particularly for my 200 baby challenge. No, I don't mean to say the 100 baby challenge. We've doubled the difficulty, doubled the amount of numbers, but we've decreased the amount of matriarchs. If you want to find out more about my 200 baby challenge, check it out in the description below. All of the details that you need there are linked either in a Google Docs or in a video form, so you can check those out, or you can join us on stream live on twitch.tv/ChaniZAEA every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday for the live rollout action. But this is the first starter home, or this is the starter home from my 200 baby challenge that you guys see me playing on stream. It is a tiny home. It's 64 tiles. It is a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, and all of those other amazing things. And yeah, I'm gonna walk you through my process, and then I'll see you guys again in the outro. And we're off and we're building in Oasis Springs. Currently, I'm loving living in Oasis Springs, and I think I'm going to live in Oasis Springs for a very, very, very long time during this 200 baby challenge. And you'll notice this is a tier 2 style house for a tiny home rather than the tier 1 micro home living tiny hack that I have shown you on the channel previously. If you want to know how to do that tiny living hack to make any size house function as a micro home, check out the link in the description or up in the cards right now. It's a very quick, simple, and easy tutorial to follow. This kind of commentary over a speed build is also not my typical YouTube video style, so let me know if you want me to do more like this in future. All in all, this house took me, I want to say, with all of my messing around with the floor plan and, of course, having to stick within that 64 tile limit, you'll see whenever I need to adjust something because of how the floor plan changes, I need to figure out, okay, where am I stealing tiles from to be able to still make it within and under 64 tiles. I also tried to do the bunk bed platforms building trick here in the toddler's room, which you'll see me fiddle around with a lot and eventually just discard right at the very end, because as much as I got it to work, every time I would add something else into the build or something else onto the floor plan, suddenly something would go funky with my building with the bunk beds again. And I just thought, you know what, it's not worth having to continually retrace, restep, and retry. So I decided maybe for one of the other houses when we have a little bit more room to play with for the 200 baby challenge. If you're curious about the 200 baby challenge as well, by the way, those rules and stuff are going to be in the description below, as well as a bunch of other videos surrounding it, meeting the mother, as well as a weekly stream highlights, which is going to go live every Friday. But yeah, if you want to watch the house being used live in action Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays over on twitch.tv/ChaniZAEA, as we can kind of see how this house manifests itself and how it has changed ever since. I always feel like simmers who do building only and simmers who do gameplay only have two very different build styles, because there's a certain way that you're going to want to play a house that it flows correctly, or it is easier, or certain items need to be there because you need them for live mode or live mode, whereas building simmers who never really leave build mode build very differently because they never really need to. Obviously, stuff will be play tested and it's a case of everything works, but it won't necessarily be optimized for sims, because let's face it, sims aren't exactly the brightest tools in the tanning bed. Well, brightest bulb in the tanning bed or sharpest tool in the toolbox, but whatever the case is, there's me still trying to mess around with the beds. You've noticed that the beds have changed around as well. I've got a play testing family in here now as well to try and get them working, and I got the bunk beds to work. Don't get me wrong, I got it to work, but it was just literally not worth me having to constantly repeat myself, go back into buy mode, go back into build mode, retrace my steps, replace the stairs. Sometimes I would just randomly place something and the stairs would disappear, and eventually I was like, okay, the toddler can reach this now. No, the toddler that used to be able to reach this can now no longer reach this, and it got quite frustrating towards the very end, and like I said, I've already scrapped it. At this point, I'm just making sure that all of the items I've already placed do work and are okay and are going to be fine for the 200 baby challenge. And as you can see, we're only got one bedroom, so the children will be sleeping outside in tents. You'll see me place tents in a little bit of a moment. I'm also obsessed with this mailbox. The mailbox is from Snowy Escape, and I think I use it in every single one of my builds these days. There are also some certain key objects for 100 baby or 200 baby challenge in my case that you have to have. The fridge display case from Get to Work, I had to include in my build. But of course, because I'm living in a tiny home, it's too big to be able to do anything. So I had to put it outside because there's no space for me to have it inside. If I was on PC, I would have probably downloaded a smaller display that only takes up 1 tile instead of 2.5 or whatever the case is. But I mean, it is what it is. I am on console, and that's why the simmer is trying to move over to PC at some point. But for now we're still on console, and for now we're still loving all of the tiny living items. So funny story about those desks. I mentioned how build mode and live mode players are 2 very different species. Well, by the time we were like halfway through episode 1 of, or at least stream 1 of the 200 baby challenge, one of those desks had already disappeared because I've completely forgot while building this that I also needed space for 3 bassinets. So I now have baby bassinets in my living room, which is great. I'm also currently in a lot of the shell challenges that I've been doing. I've really been enjoying this like kind of angular sloped roofing. So you'll notice I do this in a couple of the builds, and for this build particular, I thought that it ended up working out in my favor. And rather than having anything take up tiles and go over my 64 tile limit, I decided to just leave the fencing open there. But I didn't want to just have it like open to everyone in the neighborhood, right? Like closing it off and fencing it off kind of made it still feel like this is my property and you're gonna be trespassing if you come and take a salad out of my toddler feeder, you know? I also tried to stick with the same style more or less as the rest of the neighborhood. Of course, this is the starter neighborhood for Oasis Springs, so I kind of like the idea of blending in with my neighbors, just even if it's just a little bit. And I've also really been on a exposed brick type of exterior, so I've really loved that I got to, as much as this is a tiny home, it's a starter home, it's not that big, it's not that flashy, it's not that fancy, I think it still turned out great at the very end. Well, at least while we're still busy working on things. And by now you'll notice that I haven't noticed yet, the stairs are missing from my toddler room, and this is where I start getting frustrated when I go back there eventually. Once I finally place all of these tiles and things, I'm like, hang on, my stairs are missing. Once again, obsessed with that mailbox. Children and teenagers do sleep outside for the first part of this challenge as well, and something that I need to get into the habit of is doing windows earlier on in the build, because I'll be halfway through a build and I'm like, I haven't placed any windows yet. So I don't know if there's something that you always particularly forget to build, or you particularly forget to include up until the very last minute. You're like, something's missing. For me, it's always windows. I don't know why, but I completely space and I completely blank on the windows. Here I'm gonna put lighting in, and I was like, oh, we might as well do the little plain, straightforward little lights, and we can have some fancy exterior lights just to add some little kind of like homey touches. And especially since half the people are going to have to be outside anyways, because they're either A, sleep outside, or B, need to get their food from outside. So gotta love tiny living, right? Gotta love my rules that have been set up for the 200 baby challenge. And then because the matriarch is Lacey and she loves pink, you'll notice that there's a big pink motif that repeats itself. Here I've realized my stairs have disappeared, and I've realized that, hang on, those stairs used to be here and now the stairs are suddenly gone again. Oh no, the window messed everything up. So now I've realized I also can't just paint straight onto the platform, so now I've had to add some half walls as well, which now I realize, hang on, but I need to play test again. Can the toddler reach this bed again? And she's like, oh no, I can't get up there again. Where? And this is where I was eventually just like, oh my goodness, are you kidding me? Is this going to be a problem every single time I need to try and figure out this bunk bed situation? Is it really worth me having a bunk bed up in the middle of nowhere that a toddler still can't reach? This is ridiculous, and this is where I kind of just decided to yeet it all out and let's just make it a flat room, and we'll basically go on from there. Maybe one of the houses later on in the series or in the challenge can have some bunk beds. Maybe they bring bunk beds in. I know there's a new stuff pack that's being announced on the 12th, but I don't know. That's me and me giving up on my bunk bed situation. Maybe it's just a toddler thing. Maybe my walls weren't high enough. I'll definitely investigate the bunk bed thing a lot more, because I know a lot of simmers have been using it. And I know a lot of build mode particular simmers have been giving a lot of tutorials on how to do the bunk bed. So I just want to check it out and see if we can really get them to work in another one of my tiny homes for my 200 baby challenge. But for now, like I mentioned, Lacey, the matriarch, loves pink, and you will notice that the pink motif, it does start appearing itself, especially in the bathroom fixtures as well as the kitchen fixtures, and you'll see that in a little bit once we start coloring. But I definitely had a lot of fun with this tiny living build, and because I've built so many since then, this is only the first house. I'm expecting to have 8 or 9 houses throughout the entirety of the 200 baby challenge, because we move every 26 children. So every full run of the alphabet, we're going to be moving into a new house. And with each house, I get 1 added extra bonus fakey fake tiny living building hack room every time we move on. So for now, the first starter home has no bonus rooms, but from house number 2, it gets 1 bonus room. House number 3 gets 2 bonus rooms, so on and so forth. So eventually we'll have all the children sleeping inside as well, but for now it's just the toddlers living their best lives inside. But this is the house. Of course, we've got to add those night lights to finish off everything else, but this it's simple, it's easy to remember, it's easy to play through, and I hope to see you guys in the streams for sure. I mean, this is just me adding some final detailing, but 200 baby challenge, 200 children, 1 matriarch. I know that it's possible because of the way I played my 100 baby challenge, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all in the streams. I'm going to hand over to Present Chani, who's going to lead you out in the outro, and voiceover Chani, we'll see you again soon. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. The build is available up on the gallery. Details to my gallery and all of the things below can be found in the description. I hope you guys did enjoy. I can't wait to see how this 200 baby challenge unfolds. We will be having a new house after the first 26 babies are born, and then we'll be moving into a new house, and we'll be doing another speed build, and so on and so forth. And we're gonna kind of try and keep the trend of the tiny houses. But anyway, besides the point, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure to give a like, subscribe if you're new around here. Remember that we all human differently, and I'll see you guys again soon. Sil.